Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you are all having a great day to start things off. Timothy Peterson, CFA at Cane Island Alternative Advisors, tweeted about Coinmetrics' recent findings on Bitcoin Cash, Satoshi's Vision's transactions, which show extremely high levels of wash trading. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Bitcoin Cash, Satoshi's Vision, the cryptocurrency led by self-proclaimed Satoshi Craig Wright, seems to be heavily manipulated. According to a report by Coinmetrics, Bitcoin SV has been controversial since its inception, not only because it was created by a contentious fork of a fork, but also because of the involvement of Craig Wright and Calvin Ayre with the project. Looking at the data, here's where it gets interesting. Timothy Peterson noted that the average transaction amount on BSV is smaller than 1/10 of a cent. That is a penny, 1/10 of it. Furthermore, the network currently reports that it handles around 700,000 transactions of these extremely small transactions each and every day. They said, and I do quote, the median middle transaction value for BSV is less than 1/10 of 1 cent. This is an economically meaningless value. Transactions have soared to 700,000 transactions per day, meaning there are hundreds of thousands of fractional cent transactions being processed daily. For those of you who didn't get that, normally when someone's sending money, value, if you will, across a blockchain, especially if it's through Bitcoin, you may be sending your friend the equivalent of $35, $125. I don't know if you've ever seen, there's a website where you can actually see all the transactions that are happening on Bitcoin at that moment. It's actually really interesting to see because you see people just swapping back and forth, 25 Bitcoin, 18 Bitcoin, half of a Bitcoin, 500 Bitcoin. You kind of sit there like, who has all of these Bitcoin? The point being, people send actual amounts, maybe $19.99, $400, $500. For some reason on BSV, a person is sending 1/10 of 1 cent 700,000 times per day to make it look like the network is actually being used. This can lead to only two conclusions. Either BSV is being used to process almost 1 million micropayments per day transactions, which eclipses the volume of the Lightning Network, or the volume is being spoofed by trading bots to fake activity. Seeing that there are only 40,652 active BSV wallet addresses, it's highly unlikely that these transactions are genuine. This would mean that the actual 40,000 active addresses would have to be sending multiple transactions per day between themselves. And that's probably highly unlikely, as we've seen with many other blockchain projects, with Cardano, I dare even say Tron, Litecoin, XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum. You get the gist. People have been holding their coins or buying and simply, hodling, if you will. People aren't. Can you imagine a friend sending you a message saying, hey, can you send me 3/10 of 1 cent? I really need 3/10 of 1 cent. Can you please send that to me in BSV? Only explanation is automated wash trades to inflate BSV stats and pump the price. This is what price manipulation looks like. Now, stay with me, because the cryptocurrency space is quite interesting. We've seen this before. If you paid attention to the Mt. Gox fiasco, when you talk to people, and it's not that you catch them off guard, it's when people feel like they are comfortable enough when they can simply tell you what's going on, how things are going, etc., etc. For those of you not looking at the screen, this is why I said the internet's incredible. It says Bitcoin Sv Plunges as founder admits to whale involvement. That BSV price rally is appearing to hit an end. The 5th largest cryptocurrency by market cap suffered huge losses during the Friday trade as its rate plunged by up to 13%. The move downhill led BSV to establish an intraday low of 200 and whatever money. The interesting part is somewhere around here. The plunge did not appear as a surprise for a cryptocurrency whose price earlier this month had exploded by 374% when no one was using it. Pay attention. So it appears the BSV to dollar exchange rate met profit takers on its way up, which caused the correct rather aggressively. Now, with some gains still left on the table, there is a likelihood that the pair would continue its downside momentum. Part of the reason why it could happen is the possibility of whale-induced manipulation, a scenario wherein traders holding larger than expected capital, a lot of money, can move an illiquid market in either direction. An illiquid market is pretty much if no one is using that market and it is not liquid. Think of ice, think of liquid, water moving around. If it's not liquid, you move it very easily. Kind of the easiest way of thinking about it. And it is not a theory anymore. Why, you might ask? The reason is Bitcoin SV founder and self-proclaimed Satoshi Nakamoto Craig Wright himself. The former Australian pastor admitted in an interview with Block TV that he knew who exactly pumped the BSV price in January. While he appeared confident about having the knowledge, he forgot that he was somewhat acknowledging how the BSV market was under the control of a few entities. That overall made BSV prone to price manipulation, coupled with its thin order books and lackluster volume. The factor now serves as a bullish signal to long-term BSV, bearish signal to long-term BSV investors. I think I'm going to even end this portion right here. Because if you know me, you know I can rant for a very long time about this. How many times do you need to see that it's bullcrap before you stop stepping in it? He has admitted multiple times to manipulation, that he doesn't know what's going on, that he doesn't so-and-so, that he's going to get something, that he is so-and-so. I hope that this serves as a lesson to many entities, people, humans, dogs out there who may be cryptocurrency trading or just looking for a long-term investment. It's important, as always, to do your own research. I can only give you so much information. If you find something weird that I've said, if something seems a bit off, please, by all means, check it for yourself. I went over this before, and I told a couple of people, I told everyone on the channel, actually, I said, if you are trying to get that rise up on BSV, just be aware that there's going to be a slam down. Can you imagine what would happen? Now, stay with me on this one. Can you imagine what would happen if Brad Garlinghouse had announced that he knew that the price of XRP was manipulated? Websites would have torn him apart. Can you imagine if Charlie Lee was like, yeah, the pump that we had a couple of months ago, it was because of my brother. He was in the basement, had nothing else to do. Everyone would leave that project. The fact that there's anyone, even scammers, still in BSV, I think... my opinion, how I feel within my heart, I think in a couple of years, I think we're going to see BSV, Bcash, and a couple of other coins be known as the BitConnect of this time. Because no one's using them, no one's going to use them, and at most, you see Bcash being added onto certain platforms simply because of the fork that happened, and there are tons of millionaires who have hundreds of thousands of Bcash. They want to make sure how to profit. Anyway, right. Organizations are going through the metrics and they're figuring out that BSV is manipulated. And then the person who created BSV came forward and said himself, yeah, I know who did it. Can you imagine? It would have been one thing if the manipulation had happened and he had gone to Twitter immediately and announced, hey, everyone watch out. There's some type of really weird behavior. But no, he knew who made him and his other friends money. Like, think of that. Think of how much money they made off of, what was it, 300 something percent? 374%. I'm sure they own, him and his friends, at least tens of thousands of BSV, if not more, especially when the price was a lot lower. Tripling, almost quadrupling the price. And can you guess who probably also sold off to take the profits? Connect the dots, people. Connect the dots. This is more than likely. No one can say for sure, because that's how the world works. This is probably the biggest scam of our generation, along with many other coins, but let's move on. My goodness, you understand how ridiculous this is? It's such nonsense. It's such complete nonsense. And this is exactly why we've seen other cryptocurrency exchanges also delisting BSV. People are like, why are you delisting BSV? Because they've gone through the metrics themselves. They're like, yeah, you can see all this on the blockchain. It's one thing if I'm just like spouting out nonsense, but the fact that we can go through the actual blockchain and we can see all the transactions that are happening is the same exact way in 2017 when Bitcoin was, I think Bitcoin had a delay. It was either 20,000 or 200,000. I can't remember the number. It was huge. It started with a 2 of delays in transactions. And we saw that people were trying to clog Bitcoin's network by sending 1-cent transactions. They were sending as many as possible, and it wasn't covering the network fee. You can see all of this on the blockchain. We can see when manipulation happens. We can see when other people are trying to sabotage other people's blockchains. All the information is there. This is why crypto is so amazing, because all the information is very transparent. We know if a bank is doing something wrong, we can, oh, they're doing something wrong, but we can't prove it. There's a boat full of money, but who can say? But with the blockchain, you can see everything. That's why it's amazing. Let's move on. Next up, Merge, that is M-E-R-J, said Friday it is partnering with Curio Invest, a tokenization platform building on Ethereum, to create tokens representing shares in supercars such as Ferraris. While the sale is open to institutional and rich people, purchases are expected to be driven by institutional investors from those regions on auto import such as China, so pretty much rich. A 1.1 million Ferrari Futative, that's F12 TDF, will be the first car listed on the exchange, and Merge said it might list as many as 500 vehicles. Merge claims to be one of the first compliant national exchanges to be listing its own tokens equity on the Ethereum blockchain. It said investors will have direct access to the exchange through a computer or mobile app. Its institutional clients can gain access via traditional broker channels. Sure. The point being, this is, for those of you, I mean, Seychelles, the word Seychelles is, what's the other one? Oh gosh, that movie, I'm gonna get it, wait, I'm gonna get it. I'm not gonna get it. It's not the island of Jersey. Crap, I lost it. There's another really, but the point being, Seychelles is, there are many islands that are known for rich people. I don't want to say hiding wealth. I hate that entire phrase. Tax havens. They're known as nice places for people who have money in their pockets. So the fact that this is going to be listed on the Seychelles Stock Exchange, and once again, just to kind of keep it in your mind of all the building that's happening on top of Ethereum, this is another, I dare hold back the term major company. The entire point being a company that is going to be for the very rich, and they are beginning to tokenize cars and stuff like that. Will be on top of the Ethereum blockchain. Goes back to the exact same thing that we always talk about, where all these mega companies are building on top of Ethereum. And the other point being, terrible. It's like actually really warm here today, so I think that's what's bothering me. It was 0 degrees, 0 Celsius, and then it was 13 today, so it's a bit of a fluctuation in weather. The point being, the other thing that we were talking about around 2018 is the tokenization of assets, which I know we've spoken about before, but this is actually beginning to happen. We've seen this tokenization of property, and now we're seeing the tokenization of actual like luxury cars. I think it says somewhere around here. Geez, hold on. I'm like falling apart over here. It says that the entire point is to like, you'll be able to invest in one of these cars as opposed to having to shell out an entire million. You can probably just put down only, air quotes, 50,000. You get the point. It's on Ethereum. It's in Seychelles. Money. Let's move on. For our next edition of news that's everywhere news, Kraken Security Labs revealed, geez Louise, Kraken Security Labs revealed on the 31st of January that Trezor hardware wallets and their derivatives can be hacked to extract private keys. Though the procedure is quite involved, Kraken claims that it requires just 15 minutes of physical access to the device. The attack requires a physical intervention of the Trezor wallet by either extracting its chip and placing it on a special device, or soldering a couple of critical connectors. The Trezor chip must be then connected to a glitch device that would send its signal in specific moments. These break the built-in protection that prevents the chip's memory from being read by external devices. The trick allows the attacker to read critical wallet parameters, including the private key seed. Though the seed is encrypted with a pin-generated key, the researchers were able to brute force the combination in just 2 minutes. The vulnerability is caused by the specific hardware used by Trezor, meaning that the company cannot easily fix it. It would need to completely redesign the wallet and recall all existing models. For those of you who are looking to buy a ledger, I'm joking. That's a very terrible joke. Anyway, right. This is everywhere. It's on Kraken's blog. Kraken identifies critical flaw in Trezor hardware wallet, where they show exactly how they cracked the wallet. Kraken hacked Trezor's wallet in 15 minutes. Kraken uncovers Trezor wallet flaw. You get it. It's kind of all over the place. I do think that part of this is being blown out of proportion. In theory, everything can be hacked. We know that Bitcoin, if enough money is thrown at the system, Bitcoin can also be slowed down or hacked. So, I myself do not have Trezor. However, I know that many other people do. This is more of a public service announcement. If you do have one, just make sure that Kraken doesn't get a hold of it and tear it apart and throw it together with a manipulator and a glitcher device. Kind of a joke, but it's more like a, just make sure to keep your stuff safe. And once again, also, if anyone wants a ledger, in the description below. I know it's a terrible joke, but it's the weekend. Give me a break. Yeah, this was all over the place. It's just a matter of, once again, everything can be hacked. So keep that in mind and make sure to keep your stuff safe. People were discussing before, I saw in another video that I mentioned to try and keep your stuff in like multiple different areas. Don't just keep it all in one place. I saw some people call me crazy. They thought it was okay to keep everything in one spot. Bless you. The other part being, I think there was someone who was asking exactly what I meant. It's more like a, if you find yourself blessed enough to be holding an entire Bitcoin, try to separate it into 5 portions. If you feel confident enough to have your money on Kraken, Coinbase, and Binance, have a fifth, and maybe have 2 cold hardware wallets and those as well. I thought I had explained myself in the other video, but it's more like a, make sure to keep your money separate. You never know what could be hacked, what could be stolen, what could be lost in a fire. If a website goes down, you never know. It's best to, if Bitcoin hits 1 million and all your Bitcoin is on a website that you get an email from that they just went down, you're not going to be a happy camper. If you have it in 5 different places and, you know, 4 of them survive and you still have 800,000, you'll be upset you lost 200. But then you'll automatically remember, I still have 800,000 and I can go live my best life. Anyway, let's move on. Ethereum is in the news today. The Ethereum price could explode to record highs on the back of an optimistic accumulation behavior. Data provided by cryptocurrency market analysis at Sentiment shows that miners are now holding more ETH rewards than they did 3 months back at 1.69 million Ether, which roughly equals to around $300 million US. The cumulative balance of all Ethereum mining pools is now sitting atop a new all-time high. Maxim Balashevich, the founder of Sentiment, excuse me, there's an A there, Sentiment, wrote in a note that miners' accumulative strategy tends to show their high confidence level in the project, adding that their hoarding of the token is likely to continue heading into February. He also noted that a price drop could prompt miners to offload their existing holdings onto the spot market. He said, major miners' sell-offs have been followed by quick and significant price corrections historically. The last time the network's miners held on to this much Ethereum was back in late October 2019 when a drop below 170 prompted some to offload their holdings. Barring major market volatility this time around, we're likely to breach this milestone within the next few days. The point being, without having to read much further because it continues going on, the idea is that there are multiple factors leading to the reason why a lot of people, not just miners, but miners being very significant, because historically, when people, especially in mass, if you are mining tons of Bitcoin, if you are mining tons of Litecoin, if you're mining tons of so-and-so, unless you are outfitted with solar panels front to back, you are probably getting your electricity from a government, from a local council, whatever the actual case might be, and you have to pay them. That's how electricity works in our world. But anyway, so you pay them back on a monthly basis, and therefore you have to sell off some of the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency that you are mining to be able to pay off your bills. What we're seeing is, especially in many other cases with Bitcoin as well, is that not only are people turning on their new mining machines to try and get as much more as possible, they're also not selling off a lot of it, or they're selling off other altcoins to be able to pay for their bills, which means that they have a long-term view on what could happen with the price of said coin, and therefore they're trying to hold on to more of it. That's the miner side of it. The other part is a lot of Ethereum is being locked up in these decentralized finance, DeFi apps, applications, websites, all these other things, because the new thing for Ethereum is no longer the ICO craze and STO and IEOs and all these other letters. It's now the idea that when people are trying to do finance, it will be decentralized, but people have to lock up their Ethereum in these decentralized projects. That's a really simplified way of saying it. But you have to get more Ethereum in order to make it worthwhile to be able to do this and to lock it up in DeFi, etc., etc. And the more Ethereum that gets locked up, the less that's circulating, the higher the prices, the more the demand, the less miners who are selling. And on the same exact point for this year, it is once again expected that Ethereum is going to go through the transition of going from proof of work to a proof of stake hybrid, which means that if you are holding more Ether, I think it's 32 Ether is now the number that has been quoted. If you are holding 32 Ether, you will be able to create Ethereum by yourself through your computer through proof of staking. So the rush is happening slowly, maybe, or will eventually happen when we get proper confirmation that Ethereum is going to have proof of stake, because everyone's going to try to have at least 32 Ether to be able to create Ether themselves. This also goes into the other fact as well that we had news before, that they're thinking of lowering the issuance rate of Ether from the current, I think it's 2 Ether per block to 0.2 Ether. So all these create a perfect storm for where the price could go. I think everything is still heavily reliant on the idea that Ethereum is going to not only get proof of stake, but also work. We don't know if when the transition happens, if the network will slow down, if everything will go according to plan, how things are going to work out. If we don't get those 3,000 transactions per second, how many companies will simply go, well, we're going to use Tron instead. We're going to use EOS instead. The future is unknown. However, this is all speculation, and it's looking like, especially remember the other day when I had the other articles, I think I had it like 5 days in a row. There's a lot of articles popping up that are talking about if Bitcoin holds above this level, we're going to move up. And then we did move up. A lot of articles saying now for XRP and Ethereum, if XRP holds this level, XRP will go up. We're also getting a lot of Ethereum's now at this price. We could see a move, or try to move, to around 220 to so-and-so. You get the point. Fascinating times indeed. I think this is the... Yeah, here we go. Here's the actual article right here from ournetwork.substack.com. And the header is for Ethereum. I don't think we went over this. It feels familiar, but I can't remember. Coinbase announced on Thursday the extension of its custody business in Europe with the formation of a new local entity called Coinbase Custody International, self-explanatory. Based in Dublin, the new entity will focus on international clients like hedge funds and family offices across the European countries. Established as a crypto exchange, Coinbase launched its custody service in 2017, and since its assets under custody has surpassed $7 billion US. The figure was reported last August after its acquisition of Zappos institutional business for $55 million US. Coinbase Custody was already offering its services to European clients based in the UK, Switzerland, Germany, Finland, and the Netherlands. Per the announcement, the local entity will help it streamlining the offerings of services on the platform on the continent. Yeah, it's a lot more convenient. Not everyone is used to the idea of decentralization. I'm sure even for us as well, we'd prefer something in our backyard. Like, as cool as decentralization is, you probably would like it a lot better if you could walk 3 blocks and go to a Coinbase store, for example, as opposed to being like, oh, I have to send my money to somewhere in Japan. It does something for the mind to know that it's close, because everyone wants to be able to, I mean, you want the truth? If something goes wrong, people want to be able to point the finger at someone. That's just how life works out. Anyway, yeah, I don't think we went over this, but Coinbase Custody has expanded into Dublin, and this is also major, mega awesome, super crazy news. And to kind of finish things off, or rather, I mean, it says Bitcoin investors have already made more on their holdings this quarter than any quarter one since 2014. As data shows a sustained influx of institutional interest. According to findings from statistics resource Skew Markets, Bitcoin's gains so far in 2020 amount to just under 30%. In no other quarter in the past 6 years did markets perform that strongly. By contrast, quarter ones tend to be an underwhelming period for Bitcoiners. 2014 saw 39% of losses, while 2015 and 2016 saw drops by 24 and 3% respectively. Here's a little chart right here. We're doing well so far. I mean, the only standout year, for those of you not looking at the screen, is 2017. Quarter one, we went up by 11%. Quarter two, by 131%. Quarter three, almost cursed, 74%. And quarter four, by 226% on top of the already crazy numbers. I am trying not to get my hopes up. Me and my close friends, we have many conversations all the time. I had a conversation with my friend yesterday about, like, not biometrics. Did you guys ever hear that thing that Elon Musk has created? What's it called? It's like a neural implant type thing. It's used for, I'm getting off topic. It's the weekend, but you know, it is what it is. Elon Musk created this like neural thing. You kind of like, it gets inserted into the brain, and it's for people who are maybe disabled, who maybe are in a wheelchair, to be able to like control things around their house. It's really insane. He actually said that they use it on a monkey, and the monkey was apparently able to like control a computer completely with just its brain. So last night was full of food and having discussions about monkey brain control, cryptocurrency prices, trying not to get too excited that prices have been moving up, expectations for May, the halving area potentially being now in April, and all this other stuff with Ethereum and XR. It's just so much. This has been a very first of all, happy February, everyone. It's the 1st of February, and this year has been nuts. It's been 31 days, and every single day has been heart palpitation type things. So I would love if we continued on this growth. I am expecting, as always, I expect a big move up towards May. But don't forget to, if this is how you live your life, to take some profits, because I'm expecting a lot of the hype will dwindle down, because a lot of people who aren't really paying attention to where this is all going will simply think, oh, okay, Bitcoin's going back down. It's going back down to zero. Expect by around July, August to start seeing tons of articles talking about Bitcoin's going back down to zero. Craig Wright is now Superman, like all like really crazy, absurd things. And it'll take about a good 2 years. This is how I feel. I think the same exact way that 2017, if you look at 2017 charts, even though every single quarter was in green, it wasn't all rainbows and sunshines. We had a lot of movements up and like slams back down. There was a lot of these things. So I'm anticipating, I would like it if 2020 was the same as 2017, but just expect that there's going to be a huge pullback for about a year or two. Things will settle down. Gravity will bring us back to reality. But then as we get to the next halving, things will accelerate a bit more. And then we'll be talking about a Bitcoin price of $500,000 or $1 million. And the people will be going, do you think it can go that high? And I go, yeah, I think it can go that high. Same exact way from before, where Bitcoin was 200 and people were asking me if I thought it could hit 5,000. I was like, yeah, I don't see why not. And then we hit 5,000. People going, do you think it could hit 20,000? Yeah, I think it's so. That same trend will continue. If nothing else, it's been an intense year because life. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Chongololo Tsongololo, Nostromo, Mr. Pickles, John Sarson, the Animal Reader, A Bibliophobia, Barebones Mining, Todd Mullis, Adam Graysick, Mohamaroni, Master Ventures in Thailand, Brady Niels, Jared Schneider, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Crypto Joe, Bankroll Network, Adobo, Miluizi, Crypto Artist, Coldy 3D, Nicholas Renault, One Piece, One Love, Damien, Setsuna, Nick Kanaya, Richie Rich III, Vlad the Impaler, Crypto Bit Shipmate, Paxis, Nick Mangialavori, Anthony Charles, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Miller Hitch Chest Every Day, and Kyle Skips Leg Day. Yes to Crypto, Bodie McBoatface, Anytime Fitness, Monk's Corner Staff, ArfMedic17, Bake Me a Cake, Tigara Macho Nisa. Thank you very much for your support, and thank you very much to everyone who is a member and has joined the channel as a member. I'm tired, but I'm off to the second channel. I've seen and I don't know why I've seen an increase in this. The last couple of days, like the last 2 weeks, a lot of people are commenting on my old videos and asking why my voice has changed. I would also like to know that, but I assume in no uncertain terms, I've made what I think 1,310 plus videos on this channel. I make videos every single day, not only on this channel, but also on the second channel as well. And I really do think that talking every single day for hours at a time has just distorted what voice I had before. I think my voice is a lot deeper now. I can't honestly hear the difference because I hear myself talk every single day, but I feel like something's off. Anyway, I see a lot of people looking at like my really old videos, and they're like, "What in the world has happened?" And I heard one myself, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's probably all the talking." Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See